And then you'll see on the screen the information if you guys want to turn this in for CEUs. And we'll put this also in the chat so that you guys have access to it. And I believe Fallon has spotlighted our survivors. We are missing one. We'll keep an eye out for her and spotlight her if she shows up in a few minutes. But Johnny Immerman was our keynote speaker just an hour ago. He's also a cancer survivor. I thought it would be really awesome to have him host and talk to our other survivors, and just wanted to thank all of you for being willing to come on here and talk to us and tell us a little bit about your experience and how we can continue doing the best that we can going forward.
Awesome. Should we jump right in?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Well, thank you, AK, for everything you do as head of the board at Camp Quality and all the great stuff, in addition to having a day job, and helping out and making sure that these camps are working the best they can and helping the most kids. So it's a pleasure and honor to see everybody, and all you guys are great humans doing good work for all these kids going through it. My very quick story is I'm from Detroit originally, lived in Chicago about 15 years, and now I am in New York, but went through cancer at 26, chemo and surgeries for advanced testicular cancer, and I'm part-time now, was full-time for a long time at Immerman Angels, which is a one-on-one peer mentor program. So nobody fights alone, can find someone that beat the same thing. We have about 13,000 volunteers, about 105 countries who give back to mentor somebody fighting the same thing. So yeah, any campers that need help that are really 13 or older, really, we can match them. And then survivors, of course, that are older who want to give back. Everything's free. We just want to match them up. So with that, we have awesome panelists here and survivors from really all over. There's a lot of Texas, there's strong Texas here, but there's also some other states like Utah and Charlotte, I know. And of course, Chicago. Yeah, Rich, great to connect again. We definitely have met before, and please tell Todd on your board hello. Good guys over there. So let's jump right into some questions about camp this year, you guys. The first, well, you know what? Can we go around first before we even do that and just quickly tell a little bit about everyone, our panelists? Let's do that before we ask any questions.
Great, and Sonia has joined now, so.
Oh, thank you. Sonia is here. Great. Welcome, Sonia. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hello. Thanks for being here.
No problem. I'm sorry, my video's on. I'm going to turn it on shortly. I'm just driving right now.
That's all right. Be safe. Safety first. Don't worry. We can always come back to you too, and you just let us know when you're ready.
Okay.
Let's go around. If everyone wants to give just a real, brief intro, anything about yourself or your camp you want to share, or about your story. Why don't we start, Megan? You want to start first and share a little bit about you and where you are?
I'm Megan Spees. I am originally from Houston, but I am currently in McKinney. I had an astrocytoma, so brain tumor, at age 12. And then I became involved with the Periwinkle Foundation and all of their camps. Right now, I am part of the long-term survivor group that they have. And then as part of that, I help with the family camps, as well as the day camp and all of those fun things. In my spare time, I'm a teacher. I teach elementary special education. And as you know, there are no subs these days. So I am in my classroom on my lunch break. So that's where I am right now. But that's me.
Thank you, Megan. Thanks for sharing, and glad you're okay and doing great and clearly giving back big time. Let's move over to Sabrina. Want to tell us a little bit about where you are in Galveston area in Texas, and anything about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Sabrina. I live in Santa Fe, Texas. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have a almost 1-year-old and a 13-year-old. I had acute lymphocytic leukemia when I was a baby. I was like 18 months. And so I was the last of 5 children. So it was a lot.
Glad you're okay, Sabrina. Thank you for sharing. And let's move over to Laura, who I think is in Martha. Is that right? Marta? on the west side?
Marfa.
Marta. Sorry.
Marfa. With an
Martha.
F. With an F, yeah. My name is Laura. I'm from Houston, Texas. I currently reside in Marfa. I work at the Chinati Foundation, which is a contemporary art museum. I first went to Camp Periwinkle when I was 12 after being diagnosed with a brain tumor at 11, and I absolutely loved it. And then now that I see my other pal / camp on here, Jen on here, I've also been to Camp Make a Dream in Montana for their Teen Huck conference for teenagers with brain tumors. So I absolutely love both of these camps, and they're very important to me.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Laura. That's awesome. And Peyton.
Hello, I'm Peyton. I was diagnosed with rhabdomyosarcoma whenever I was 7, and I started going to camp shortly after surviving, and I'm currently going to school to become an audio engineer.
Man, glad you're okay, buddy, and hanging in there, and good luck with being an audio engineer. Sounds like you're onward and upward, and good luck, brother. And let's move on to Sonia, if you can hear us and talk. Otherwise, if you're driving, no worries. Let's come back to Sonia. We're going to let her focus on safety and driving.
Hello.
Go
Hello.
ahead,
I'm
brother.
sorry. I couldn't get my phone to work. But I am Sonia. I was diagnosed when I was 12 years old, and I began going to the Rainbow Connection. In the real world, not Camp World, I am a liaison for school district Brazosport ISD. I live in Jones Creek, which is over here by the beach. And I'm actually coming out of court right now. So I was trying to rush to my car and get to the office, but I just parked in a parking lot. And I think that's about it about me.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Sonia. And just keep safe. We'll come to you and just jump in when you can, but don't worry when you cannot.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, let's jump into a couple questions for you guys. And please don't be shy. Everyone jump in. The first question I've got for you guys, what was your favorite thing about attending a summer camp this year? Anyone? Megan, you're smiling pretty big.
I'd say this year was a little different because we still did everything virtually, but it was really nice to get to see everybody. And I mean, even through Zoom, and the cool thing about the virtual aspect is, like, yeah, it's not traditional camp, but like we were able to have people that were in the hospital also participating because they could Zoom. And I just thought that was amazing, that it's like, they have the opportunities. Even if they can't get out, they could come and join us for our activities, or at least watch what was going on. So while, Zoom isn't the ideal camp, like it did provide some really cool opportunities. So I thought that was cool.
Awesome. That's awesome. It was a good pivot. It's good to hear, Megan, for sure. Peyton, you have anything to add on this one?
Well, this year it was actually the first time that I volunteered for a camp, and it gave me a really good opportunity to give some time back for something that has meant so much to me.
Phenomenal. That's awesome, man. That's truly giving back. Awesome. You're okay and getting involved at a young age. That's great stuff. Anyone else want to add anything or share anything about their favorite thing?
I could go ahead and share. We didn't have camp this year, but I guess my favorite thing about camp was always the friendships that we made. Sabrina and I go to the same camp, and we became friends as campers, and we're still friends and keep in touch throughout the year and often send each other pictures. I send pictures of my dog. She sends pictures of her children. And so I think my favorite thing has always been the friendships that we made.
Love it. Connection. It's always about the connection first. That's awesome. You guys are the same one. Beautiful. All right, I got another question for you guys. How did attending camp help support you through your own cancer journey? Anyone want to share how it influenced them, how it impacted them? Did it help you heal? Anything you want to share? Megan, you want to lead off again?
I mean, you hear this a lot, but it really is nice to meet other people that are like you, because it's not common. You don't just go to school and meet people that also happen to have a brain tumor. But when you find these people that are like you and can share in your experiences and can understand, like if you're like, hey, I'm tired, they don't ask any questions. Like they can understand you and where you're coming from. And it's just really nice to be able to make connections with those people and just spend time with them. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Megan. Thank you for sharing. And Laura, do you want to jump in on this one?
For me, just going to camp, it was just rejuvenating, being able to just go to a place where like you're not asked, why are you leaving school early to go get treatment, or why do you wear that brace, or why are you wearing that splint or something. And so it was just something where it's not, you don't have to constantly let people know that stuff is going on. And so yeah, that was one of the big things for me as a patient, as a counselor. It's just getting to see the kiddos experience the same thing.
Awesome. Sabrina, do you want to jump in here?
Yes. And I just off of what she said, that's what I really enjoy is, I remember one year I had a particular camper tell me, he goes, you don't understand, you don't have cancer. And I had to tell him, I'm like, I did as a kid. I was a baby. I was like, so I do understand to an extent, even though I was little, I still have some memories of it. And just like seeing his face light up, that the counselors, are made up of everybody of that, from all parts of the world and what they've been through. And so I like connecting with the campers and letting them know we've been through what they've been through.
That's awesome to be able to share that, have that connection. Really powerful stuff, no question. Immediate respect, I'm sure, from the kids that you've already earned your stripes and been there. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, here's another one. Were your siblings able to attend camp with you? And if so, how do you feel that impacted your relationship with them? So were your siblings able to attend camp with you? And if so, how do you feel that impacted your relationship with them? How about Laura?
Yeah, my sister attended my first year at Periwinkle with me. She's older and she was in the oldest age group, and she attended YOLO, which is the teen weekend camp with me. And I think it's really impacted her. She's a doctor now, so that's one thing. So yeah, definitely probably steered her toward that profession. And then with our relationship, I think she became a little bit more understanding, and it's just seeing that like there's a lot of kids who go through this. So yeah, but my sister's awesome. I miss her a lot. So
Thank you, Laura. Thanks for sharing that. Sabrina, you want to jump in?
Yeah. So none of my siblings got to come. I wish
I wish they had, because it's a big life. It's a huge life experience to just go to camp and enjoy it, and then to be a counselor. My husband got to go and was a counselor, and he loved it. He really did. He says, I see why you demand your week a year. I was like, yes. And so I wish my siblings had gotten to go to experience it, and so they can see that connection, because it happened when I was so young. I was 18 months when I got sick, and so they didn't really get to experience it. And by the time I got to go to camp, I was older and they had already aged out.
Yep. No, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Another question for everybody. Looking back, is there any kind of support you wish you and your family had been given? Is there anything you wish you had been given at camp? Is Sonia still with us? I don't think so.
Yes,
No?
I'm here.
Well, you are.
Um,
Sorry. Oh, there you are.
yes,
We can
yes,
see you.
yes,
Oh, it's great to see
yes.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Um, honestly, I don't think there's really any support. I don't think the Rainbow Connection, now the Childhood Cancer Connection, could have given my family any more support than they already did. You know, my two younger brothers did go to camp with me for several years, and they both became counselors and junior counselors at the camp. Um, Kat, and at that time the director Janice, who was a child life support person on the floor, they were there for my parents. They were always asking my parents, is everything okay? They always asked my brothers, is everything okay? I didn't realize that one of my younger brothers, since he was about 10 when I was diagnosed, I didn't realize he thought I was going to die until later on, that it came out that he thought I was going to. Well, I didn't realize that Janice and another person had been talking to him when they would go to the hospital to visit me. So I don't think there was any more support that, you know, the Childhood Cancer Connection could have really provided to me and my family.
It's great. It's great that they really came through, and it was there was a lot of resources there, and it was a good experience. Glad to hear it. How about Laura? Anything to share there?
I mean, I've talked to Larry about making camp longer, but that's clearly a no-go. So,
It's a great idea.
yeah, no, I think, yeah, making camp longer, making it 2 weeks, maybe 3.
That's when you know they're doing it right. That's great. That's good to hear. How about Sabrina? Anything you want to add there?
You know, I remember always being, you know, every time I went to a doctor's appointment, they would, you gonna let her come this year? You know, and I think I scared my mom so bad that it took her a little bit longer to, you know, but I remember being older, are you gonna let her come this year? So eventually, you know, they weired my mom down, and you know, and I enjoyed all of it, and I know my mom had a good experience the first couple of years that I went. She felt very secure.
Good. Here's another question, guys, for everybody. What recommendation would you give us as we continue to create our summer camp and our other programs? What recommendation would you give as we create summer camp and other programs? How about Peyton for this one?
See, I don't really know like what to say, because it's so great. I love the camp. I can't really think of any sort of recommendations. I guess like Laura said, make it longer.
We have consensus. That's good. We have consensus. That's a good thing. How about Megan? Any recommendations?
I know this is something a lot of camps already do, and like I know with Periwinkle, with Camp YOLO, just like doing things like in age groups, because you know the concerns for a 16-year-old versus the concerns for an 8-year-old with cancer, you know, are very different. So I think a lot of, you know, I mean, I know your groups by cabin, but just having activities and discussions by age group, I think is really good just to, learn how peers that are exactly your age, handle maybe problems at school or things like that. So I think that's
Nice. How about Sonia? Do you want to comment on this one?
I can't really think of anything right now. I mean, it would be nice to have maybe camp a little bit longer, but I don't know about 2 or 3 weeks. But I love camp. I don't know. I think a week is perfect. And I don't think there's anything that we could really do to make it any better than it already is.
Good.
Yep.
You guys all love camp. That's a great thing. If you can't make it better, then you're doing it right. So that's good news. Okay, let's move along to another question for you guys. What piece of advice would you give parents of a newly diagnosed child regarding the importance of attending a summer camp specifically made for kids with cancer? So what advice would you guys give to parents that you think would be great to encourage them to send their kid to a kids cancer camp? Sonia, do you want to stay with you on this one?
I guess how much their quality of life will improve going to camp. A lot of kids, especially for those teenagers, since I was 12 when I went, and I had never met anyone with cancer before I went to camp. It really boosts self-esteem for especially teenage kids. I used to be a teacher, and I was a 7th and 8th grade teacher, and I had a few students who were diagnosed while I worked there. And it's really, and my issue also at that time was when you go bald. I had long hair to my waist, and that's what I was known for, and then it was gone within like 2 weeks. And so I just think the advice would be, it'd be good for them. It'd be good for their children. Just improving their life and making them feel normal again.
Love it. So agree. So agree. Community and feeling normal, looking at people who look like you. And it's okay to take off the eye patch if you lost an eye or you've lost an arm and somebody else has lost something too. And that's a unique space for that. I completely agree with you. Maybe a space they'll never feel any other time of the year. How about Megan? You're shaking, you're nodding. Let's hear anything you want to share there.
I think it's really important too to just, remind the parents that like these camps are designed for kids with cancer. They can take care of any situation. Cause I know that was always, I'm an only child. My mom was very protective. I was in the bubble, but there are doctors there, there are nurses there. These people are, they've created this camp to be safe for kids with cancer. So I think it's just really important just to, so the parents aren't worried the whole week. And I mean, I know some parents will still be worried, but just remind them that like, this is what we're made for. And your child will be totally safe and cared for the whole time.
Love it. Love it. That's how it is at camp, no doubt. But taken care of. That's beautiful. Peyton, any advice for the parents?
Well, the funny thing is that I resonate with a lot what Megan said. My mom was very hesitant sending me to camp for the first time because she was afraid I was going to get hurt. So I guess just tell the parents, just don't be fearful. Like everything will work out at this camp. It's completely safe.
It's great. Great. Definitely agree with you on that one. Once they're there, it's going to be great. Laura, do you want to add anything on this one? Any advice?
I was thinking about my own experience prior to being diagnosed. My parents shipped me off to summer camp every summer. So that when I was 8, they shipped me off to West Texas, literally 20 miles from here to ride horses for 2 weeks. So I was very familiar with the camp. So my parents weren't as hesitant for me going, but I mean, I guess a little bit, but it's definitely these camps are made for children who have serious and chronic health issues, and which is amazing. I mean, I get better healthcare at camp than I do out here, so it's one thing. But yeah, no, I really just making sure that these camps, making sure they understand that these camps are amazing. And it also helps that I know at Periwinkle they post like 1,000 pictures a day. It's ridiculous. Because everyone wants to see and then they see their kid having fun and going down a zip line, and they're like, oh my gosh, I made such a great decision.
Awesome. Awesome. Once they get started, they're in a better spot. Are there any funny stories or things you didn't expect to happen that happened that were sort of out of the ordinary? Any funny stories that you want to share?
Mm.
Laura, do you have one there? If not, that's okay.
Give me a minute to think. Just thinking.
Anybody else? Megan or Sabrina? Any funny ones?
For me, it was just, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Megan. Oh, okay. For me, it was transitioning to a counselor and seeing how much work goes behind the scenes and how much things you were like, oh my God, I thought that was real. And it's actually, it's all counselor illusion. I know homesick pills. There we go. That's one thing is I legitimately thought they were real. Like I thought they were a thing. Like I go to CVS and like, can I get like 20 homesick pills? No, they're not real. And that was one. And then the candy challenge at Periwinkle, that's another where you're like legitimately thought it was real. So all this counselor behind the curtain stuff that goes on, you become aware of, and you just laugh at it because you go to camp and you remember like, oh my God, I thought that was like the most legitimate thing you ever thought. But just, yeah, transitioning to that stage is definitely the funny thing for me.
Laura, what are homesick pills?
Oh, Larry,
We
why
might
don't
need
you
them at our
explain
camp.
that?
They're sprees.
There's spree candy. Spree candy kind of looks like a pill, and we tell the little kids that they're homesick pills. So if you take them, you'll like immediately feel better. And like I took them when I was a kid. I like almost had some sort of high off of it. And it's just spree candy, and like you make it work by counselors taking it and be like, I miss my mom and I just took one 30 minutes ago and I'm fine now. So
Our medical
yeah,
director puts them in a little prescription bottle so it looks legit and whatnot. So we buy a lot of spree candy for the summer.
who came up with that, Larry?
It was before my time.
Before your time. So yeah, it's I think I believed it at like 12. I was old and I believed it. I was a very gullible child too, so
That is very creative, I have to say. Very creative. Never heard that one. Love it. Well done. Well done. Any other funny stories, guys? That's memorable? All right, I got another question for you guys. Can you think of a time where you saw something or were part of something that was just one of the kindest acts at camp you've ever seen from one human to another, and you just couldn't forget it because it just had such an impact on you because it was just sweet, kind, thoughtful, caring? Are there any times like that that you come to mind first at camp? What one camper will do for another camper? Don't be shy, guys.
Okay, I have one. Sorry, we're transitioning. Just a lot of the time, some of the kids that are like, the kids with the tough exterior and the kids that you're like, oh, do they really want to come to camp? Just seeing them once they're there and seeing them interact with other kids is always the best part to me, because, they put on that kind of tough armor and they're trying to be cool, but then at camp they can be their real selves. And I just love seeing that, especially with maybe somebody that needs a little extra help. It's usually they're the ones that are helping them. And I've seen that several times and I think it's pretty cool.
Awesome. That is awesome. Any other acts of kindness, guys, that stick in the mind that you're just like, what a beautiful thing that somebody did selflessly to care for somebody else at camp?
I would say
I have one. Oh, did I interrupt somebody? No? Okay.
Go ahead, Sonia, and then we'll go to Peyton.
Okay. Sorry, Peyton. A few years ago, I got put as a counselor with the older boys, which are 14 to 16. And one of the boys had lost his mom. I can't remember. It was a very short time before we went to cancer. And he was a quiet boy. And one day he just randomly blurted out that his mom had passed away from cancer. And so before camp ended, the boys took it upon themselves to ask us if they could go out into the middle of this open area at the camp. And they all sat around in a circle and talked to him about, we let him be, and they talked to him about his mom passing away, and they let him vent, and they let, they all assured him everything would be okay. And it was just, you don't expect that from 16-year-olds. You don't expect 16-year-olds to reach out to, the quiet kid and comfort him and, let him know. And then they all talked about their own illness and then the illness of their siblings, because some of them were siblings. And they just had this really beautiful bonding moment out there in the middle of the woods at, it was 9:00 at night, Kat, by the way. It wasn't midnight, but it was 9:00 at night. And so that was a moment that stuck out. It has stuck out in my mind after all these years of camp.
Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Sonia. Anyone else? Oh, Peyton. Let's go to Peyton.
I would like to say, like, people, kids like trying to go out of their comfort zone, like go on the rock wall, like the zip lines and stuff like that. How so many kids like go up to them and just encourage them to go outside their comfort zone because they're making the leap, and it's like they need a little bit more, need a little bit of encouragement and positive reinforcement for getting out of that comfort zone.
Nice. That's true. And your peers can do that for each other and helping them get outside that comfort zone and really grow. Any other acts of kindness story?
That's what I was gonna say. Sometimes when the campers are sick, or I'm not sick, like homesick and just, not in a good mood, sometimes they don't want us as counselors to console them. And it's nice to see the campers gathering around if they're homesick or if they're sad about something, to kind of encourage them and, make them laugh or make them smile, whatever they need to be in a better place.
Awesome. Different from a peer, no question. Different from a peer. Anyone else?
For me, it's really when like campers, they come together and they remember, like if someone has passed away, they come together like next camp, and they take time to remember them and talk about them, and they talk about them every year. It's not something that necessarily needs to be prompted or anything. It's just something that happens, that they'll remember a friend that's passed away and that's gone for now. And so that's really lovely to see. Even through the years, like, so kiddos that were friends at 7 and now one of them is 13 and they've lost a friend and they've remembered them years on. So and it's really lovely to see that.
That's beautiful and wonderful. Keep the memory on. Have you ever seen a situation, Laura, where they like created like a paper plate or a plaque or someone's name that stays at the camp? Have you seen things like that?
I don't think that we've necessarily created anything physical at the camp, but just because the camp that I go to, especially in Texas, they host many camps, just not just our cancer camp. So, but we do usually have like a wish float ceremony where kids can really talk about any friends they've lost. So that's really important.
Awesome. So important. So important. Any other acts of kindness stories? I'll tell you guys a quick one for me once. I was diagnosed in my 20s and I've been on multiple first descents camps. If anyone knows first descents out of Colorado, I think many of you do. And just been partners with Immerman Angels with them for so many years and close friends with their team, and they're awesome. But I was on one of their camp once and saw something I'd never seen before. And there was a big guy named Tails. His nickname was Tails. I still remember that. And he was a college lacrosse player. He was a goalie and had lost his eye right after college to orbital cancer. He lost an eye or lost his, not actually, I don't know if it was orbital cancer. I want to make sure that's accurate, but something where he lost his vision and was almost blind, basically, actually in both eyes, not just one, and couldn't play the sport anymore. But he was a big guy. He was a huge athlete. And we were all, rafting. We were in kayaks and going down rivers. And you have this guy that's basically blind, Tails, going down in a kayak. And then you have all the peers on both sides saying, paddle left, paddle right, paddle left, paddle right, paddle right. And he can't see. And he's in rapids and just listening to his peers and what they're saying and trusting. I mean, talk about trust, right? And just paddling, listening to what they're saying, going around rocks. I mean, it was incredible, something I'd never seen before, but beautiful how, fellow survivors can be looking out for you and you just trust them. And he was an athlete. He wanted that experience. Amazing story. Amazing story. First Events is awesome too. All you guys are awesome for all the camps you guys do. But anyways, to wrap us up, I've got one more thing called the whip. And the whip is we're going to go around, and it's not just a one-word whip, which many of you guys have heard before, but this is a complete this sentence whip. So we're going to go all the way around for everybody. And the question is an open question. Because of camp, ... You finish the question. You can go as long or short with you want. You can go anywhere you want with it. It's totally up to you. It's an open-ended question. Because of camp, ... And who wants to be the first one to tackle this open-ended question? No pressure.
Because
I'll
of
go.
camp, I have made lifelong friends, and probably without my camp and my camp people, I probably would have never ever been to camp. This is the only camp I've ever known, so I've got to experience a lot of things that I probably would not have ever got to experience.
Awesome. So true, right? Like, where else? That is awesome. We totally get that. Thanks, Sabrina.
To piggyback on Sabrina, I'm Catalina Castro. I'm Kat. I've been a camp counselor and camp director now to the same camp that both Sabrina, who we know is Beans, so Beans and Sonia have been to. And so for me, because of camp, I have an additional family, because I think that's one of the greatest things that has come out of this for us, and a family, if I can point out, that just keeps growing. You see Beans there with her almost 1-year-old son and stuff. So I have a family that continues to grow.
Love it. Thank you, Kat. Super positive. Love it.
Hi, I'm Teresa Scarfo. I'm with Case Camp in Delaware. I'm a camp nurse and a medical coordinator. And because of camp, I get to help kids feel normal for at least a week.
Nice. Love it. Love that. You definitely do that. No question. Or anyone else want to jump in?
I'll go. Because of camp, I have had the opportunity to be inspired and to be an inspiration.
Love it.
I'm Larry with the Periwinkle Foundation in Houston, Texas, and Laura and Megan and Peyton have all visited our camps at one point or another. But because of camp, I think I'm a better father. So to my kids.
Love it.
Tammy, I'm Tammy Jenkins. I'm a medical coordinator also for Camp Fantastic. But I think because of camp, I have some of the most authentic relationships in my life and I cherish them.
Awesome. Thank you, Tammy.
Well, I'll go. So I'm Fallon with Camp Quality Texas. I'm the executive director. And since taking this role, I truly know the definition of heart work, not hard work, heart work. Because every time I do something for camp, it just makes me feel, it fills my cup. And when I get to see the kiddos, it overflows my cup. So that's mine because of camp.
Nice. Thank you, Phil. How about Megan? You want to jump in?
Sure. Sorry, it's kind of loud in the background now.
Go.
Because of camp, like somebody said, I've made friendships that, you know, will last a lifetime. But I've also gotten to see, you know, the next generation of cancer survivors would grow and survive and thrive. And it's, you know, like when we're in camp, we see the older kids. We know one day we'll be there, but it's so nice to see the next generation too, and for them to know that, like, look, there's a future and it's good, and survival is a good thing, and you know, you can do what you want. You don't have to let anything stop you, regardless of what your medical diagnosis is or anything. But I love seeing generations come up.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. Who on the panel hasn't gone yet? Anyone want to jump in?
Because of camp, I'm part of this amazing, loving community. It's been so helpful for me and everybody that has been a part of these camps, and I just absolutely love it.
Love it. It is community, no question about it. It's the connection at the core. All right, we've got a couple more questions coming in. So, you know what? If anyone else want to jump in on that one, or should we take these questions?
Because of camp, I am where I am today. It has affected my career path. It has affected my personal relationships and everything. I have a whole new family. I've used Periwinkle for so many volunteer hours that you have no idea. Also recommendations. So I am where I am today because of camp, both camps I've been to.
Awesome. That's great. Who didn't go from the panel? It's just Sabrina?
I did. Mine was because of camp. I made lifelong friends and got to experience some great things.
Good, good, good. Sorry to come back to you twice. Apologize.
No, you're good.
Thank you. My slow brain. Let's blame it on chemo brain, of course. Um, so thanks, guys. Let's go to a couple questions. We do have a couple questions in the chat. I think Jen from Make a Dream is asking, as we prepare to return to in-person camps, there are changes that we have to make because of COVID. At least at her camp, Make a Dream, they're concerned these changes will detract from the experience. Anyone, very good question. Any concerns, questions about that? Things on the horizon, pivots? Anyone want to share there?
I think just the excitement of being back in person will outweigh changes. Like, unfortunately, COVID is something we've had to deal with for the past few years, and it's different, but we're all getting used to it. And yeah, I think just being back in person will just be so exciting that any COVID related changes won't be a big deal.
Awesome. Love the attitude. 100%. Anyone else? Concerns about the pivot or the repivoting? Whatever you want to call the back to normal?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen, for your question. Definitely a good one. Definitely a good one. And there's another question from Ashley with Camp Hobie. Is how do the camps support you after camp sessions? Maybe during the year or through a survivorship program. So after camp on the other half of the year, how are campers staying connected? How's camp staying connected? I imagine every group's a little different. Anyone want to share how their camp works or handles that off cycle?
I mean, I'm not on the panel, but I can share what we do with the Periwinkle Foundation. Laura and Megan participate in our adult long-term survivor program. We do monthly socials, which over the past year, they've been virtual. Beginning of the year, we sent them a box with 3 months of supply. So one social would be bingo, one would be tie-dye, and so forth. And we just kind of connect over Zoom. We did meet in person for our annual long-term survivor retreat at Camp for All. Everyone was COVID tested and everyone was vaxxed. Had a great time. And in December, a month from today, we're gonna do the Houston Zoo Lights and meet there and kind of hang out there. But we do monthly socials, and we try to add psychosocial elements to that as well. So Dr. Zoe Dreyer, I think, who spoke yesterday on the about survivors, she'll come and talk to survivors, answer any questions that they have. We'll bring in just different people to help if they have healthcare questions, or if they have questions about how do I get this job, we try to connect them. But yeah, and one of our biggest challenges to our adult long-term survivor program is transportation. We have somebody that lives in Kingwood, which is about 45 minutes from our office, with no traffic. Add traffic, I mean, it's a nightmare. So that's something that we're always struggling with. But that's the quick, easy version of what we do with our adult long-term survivors.
And to add to that, Periwinkle has other like fundraising events that are really fun, like Periwinkle Cycle and the Kickball Classic, which a lot of like survivors and patients participate in. Like teenagers will create their own team and they're really, really good. But so they'll participate in that. And then there's also Celebration of Life, which is usually in February, and that's a lot of fun too. There's cake and prizes and stuff, and it's just a lot of fun. And then there's usually, y'all just scatter events throughout the year. So it's always just fun to like look forward to the next event, put it on your calendar. I am really bummed out I won't get to go to the zoo though.
Yeah, one thing that Laura pointed out was whenever we have our fundraising event, so whether it's a kickball tournament or our Cycle for Life, we have funders that will fund a team for LTS and have survivors come and, join, at no cost, just to kind of be there and be champions of, of Periwinkle. So.
Anyone else want to share about their camp? Good. I'm glad that was helpful. Actually.
So Johnny, I have a question. Thank you guys so much for joining this panel. I do also want to thank the camps they came from. We have Larry with the Periwinkle Foundation, Kat with the Rainbow Connection, and Fallon with Camp Quality Texas, that gave us the names of people to invite and talk to. And I was curious, just from the camp leaders' perspective, you guys obviously have a great program, and you've got people that are coming back to your program and giving back. How has having that flow of people, campers graduating and coming back to your camp, how has that impacted your camp and made things better? If that's a completely off the cuff question, so.
I can give my answer. So from my perspective, I see it as they're a shining example to these younger kids that are coming in that may be 5, 6 years old, and they hear the stories and they're like, oh, well, Peyton survived it, and Peyton swam, and now he's in college, and look at all the things he accomplished. I can do that too. And for me, that's the importance of having our camper patients come back as companions and as staff, and it just, this shines example to the rest of all the kids.
Thanks.
Yeah, I agree with what Fallon just said. And I know one of the things that we're kind of running into as well is we are getting more and more applications from former campers that cognitively or physically a week of camp is just really tough. So it's finding the right spots for them to volunteer that are meaningful, not just here, go and do this, but that's been a real challenge for us in the last couple of years. So
yeah, thanks.
We've had that
Anyone else
challenge
have anything they wanna
too.
add?
I was just going to say, we've had that challenge too for a long time, just because for a while the culture was, people grew up and said, okay, well, I'm going to become a counselor. And that was just the automatic, they go into the teen program and they felt it was a kind of training ground for being a counselor. And so some people beautifully transitioned into being a counselor, and others, like you said, had, the cognitive or physical abilities where we couldn't put them in charge of children. And it's hard because their heart is in it so much that they want to give back. So it's hard to find positions, like you said, that are meaningful and not just here, okay, come and you can do this. So I feel your pain on that one.
Yeah, thanks for that, Tammy. Well, if nobody has anything else, I would like to thank the panel. You guys did amazing today. Thank you for sharing your life, your stories about camp and how it's impacted you. And also thank you to Johnny for hosting this session with you guys. I did put in the chat links if you want the CEU credits. So if you guys need that, and we just thank you for your time today.
Thanks, everybody. Stay well.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.